she screamed when she saw me. Surviving an 11 inheritance after the crash at 3 a.m. It was a night like no other, thick with the kind of darkness that seemed pregnant with secrets. The clock ticked ominously, marking the hour when shadows twisted and time itself felt like it was holding its breath. At exactly 3 a.m., the stillness shattered. A horrifying, blood-curdling scream pierced the air. It echoed through the empty streets, a ghostly cry that sent shivers racing down spines. In the moonlight, the only witness was an abandoned car, crumpled and scattered like a broken toy, a reminder of the crash that changed everything. Just a few feet away lay a tiny, glimmering something amidst the wreckage. A diamond? A key? No one knew yet, but it held the promise of an unimaginable fortune. 11 million inherited from a relative most didn't even know existed. This was not a regular inheritance. It was wrapped in mystery, potential, and danger. The townsfolk hadn't even begun to grasp the chaos that would unfurl in the wake of that scream. Inside that shattered vehicle, the echoes of shock mingled with confusion. Who was inside? Why were they alone at such an hour? The flickering streetlights threw haunting shadows, illuminating the strained, terrified faces of onlookers as murmurs filled the air. "Did you see that?" she just screamed. One neighbor gasped, their breath hitching as they leaned closer. Another whispered, "What was she trying to escape?" As the crowd gathered, tension ran thick. Each person stood transfixed, suspense vibrating like a taut string about to snap. Time crawled as people's hearts raced. The unseen horror that lingered in the midnight air was palpable. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The eerie stillness returned, the kind that wraps around your throat, making it hard to breathe. The crowd could barely process what lay ahead. With the sirens in the distance growing louder, and the shadows stretching longer, a sickening thought wove through their minds. What if that scream was just the beginning of something much worse? What if the inheritance hit a dark twist that no one could foresee? A figure emerged from the car, pale and trembling, and the crowd gasped. Their eyes widened in disbelief as she turned towards them, her gaze wild and haunted. The glowing remnants of the accident sparkled behind her, like stars fallen from the sky. But it wasn't just fear in her eyes. Something else simmered beneath the surface, something that hinted at deeper secrets, waiting to be uncovered. Was she a victim, or the key to the puzzle of that fateful night? Questions swirled, and the atmosphere crackled with hidden narratives, begging to be unraveled. What had really happened when the clock struck 3? Who was she, and what awaited them within the twisted aisles of mystery and inheritance that stretched out before them? The answers lay somewhere between the wreckage and the haunting scream. The woman stepped out of the wreckage, her breath coming in ragged gasps as the crowd's eyes latched onto her. Alarm washed over her features, mingling with a desperate resolve. It was clear she needed to say something, to break the silence choking the gathered onlookers. But what could she reveal without unleashing more chaos? A murmur rippled through the crowd, each person straining to hear her. "Help me," she croaked, her voice a harsh whisper. The words seemed to hang in the air, heavy with urgency. She stumbled forward, one trembling hand reaching out, desperate for any solid ground. "What happened? Who are you?" Someone called out, their voice slicing through the tension. She paused, glancing back at the twisted metal of the car. The gleaming object that had drawn their eyes earlier now seemed to pulse with an eerie light, promising untold riches, but at what cost? Panic fluttered in her chest. The last thing she remembered was the sudden jerk of the wheel, the sound of crunching metal, and then darkness. "Call an ambulance," she screamed, her voice rising. "We need to get out of here." The crowd hesitated, trading glances full of uncertainty. Had she been in the accident, or was she something far more sinister? Suddenly, a siren wailed in the distance, growing nearer, snapping the townsfolk from their stupor. The urgency in her voice demanded action. Their pulse quickened. Then, without warning, she turned and bolted toward the flickering streetlights, her footsteps frantic against the pavement, as if demons chased her down the darkened road. "Wait!" Several voices called out, but she didn't. Stopped as she ran. The glimmer from the wreckage seemed to catch her eye, pulling her back momentarily before her instincts took over. Whatever lay in that car, whatever dark mystery it held, it was intertwined with her fate. She needed answers, but how could she trust the very people who were now watching her like prey? With the sirens getting closer, a man burst through the crowd, determined. "I'll go after her," he shouted, racing after the woman. The onlookers hesitated, watching the duo dissolve into shadows under the flickering lights, uncertainty brewing in their minds. Who was this girl, and why did her presence feel like the spark to an already lit match? As the first police car rolled up, its blue lights flashing wildly against the darkness, the gathered witnesses turned their attention back to the wreck. What explained the wrecked car? And where did the screeching despair of that woman lead? One thought echoed in their minds. Was she running toward safety or deeper into danger? The officer who stepped from the car hesitated, eyeing the chaos around him as he went for his radio. "We'll need a search team," he barked, sounding as shaken as the crowd felt, and far from the crowd, deep in the heart of the night, the woman felt an invisible thread pulling her, anchored to the secrets buried with her inheritance. What had she missed in the chaos? What darkness lurked just beneath the surface of her life as she knew it? A sudden crackle of branches brought her to a halt, the night becoming even thicker with shadows creeping in around her. Who had followed her? And were they friend or foe? With her heart pounding like a drum, she took a deep breath and turned back toward the wreckage. But was she ready to confront the truth? Or was fate about to unleash a terror she couldn't control? The answers were tangled in the wreckage, and they were just the beginning. The darkness ahead seemed to swallow her whole, the chill of the night wrapping around her like a shroud. With every heartbeat, dread pooled in her stomach. The crackle and rustle of the underbrush echoed like a warning, every sound amplifying her fear. She took a hesitant step back toward the wreckage, the pulsing light drawing her in like a moth to the flame. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice a trembling whisper. The shadows shifted, and for a moment, she thought she saw movement, a dark shape lingering at the edge of the streetlight's glow. Panic surged anew, driving her to the remnants of the car. "Stay away!" she screamed, clutching a shard of metal, feeling foolish yet resolute. The adrenaline coursed through her veins, sharpening her senses. Fear clawed at her mind, but she couldn't turn back. Something was waiting for her in that wreckage, something she needed to confront. As she approached the car, she could see the shimmering object half buried in the debris. What was it? A glint of gold? No, it was something more substantial, more significant. Her hands trembled as she reached for it, unearthing it from the twisted metal. The weight was extraordinary, and her heart raced as she finally grasped it, a small ornate box that pulsed with a strange energy. The moment she touched it, memories flooded her mind, a picturesque childhood home, laughter echoing in the yard, birthday parties filled with friends. But alongside those comforting thoughts, darker images flickered. Arguments, shadows of figures looming large, her mother's frightened eyes. What did this all mean? "Stop!" a voice barked from the shadows, sending an electric jolt through her. She spun around, the box clutched to her chest. It was the man from the crowd, the one who had chased her down. His expression was frantic, but in his eyes she saw something else, recognition. "You don't understand. You have to run." He took a step closer, glancing back into the darkness behind him. "It's not safe. There are people looking for you for that." She narrowed her eyes, feeling the weight of the box shift slightly in her grip. "What are you talking about? Who are you?" "I'm here to help you," he pleaded, taking another cautious step forward. "But if we don't move now, we're both going to be in serious trouble. You're in the middle of something bigger than you think." Fury surged through her. "What do you know about me? About any of this?" He hesitated, a flicker of doubt clouding his face. "Your family, it's complicated. But you're in danger, and I'm the only one who knows what's really at stake. Please trust me." Trust him? How could she? This strange man had appeared out of nowhere, claiming to know her family's secrets when she herself didn't even know what was happening. The sirens echoed louder now, bathing the area in a chaotic brilliance. "You need to make a choice," he said urgently, glancing over his shoulder as if something sinister lurked just beyond their view. "Take the box and follow me, or stay here and risk everything? Her heart raced. The night felt heavy with impending doom. If she stayed, the wreck and whatever followed it would wash over her like a tide. But if she ran, would she ever find out the truth? Would the sinister forces he hinted at get to her first? The decision loomed like a precipice before her. She took a deep breath, the scent of burnt metal and fear filling her lungs. "Okay, let us go," she finally whispered, though uncertainty gnawed at her as they moved swiftly through the shadows. He glanced back one last time at the wreckage. "When you find out what that box holds, your entire life will change." An icy dread gripped her heart. What kind of change awaited her? They vanished into the night, leaving behind the remnants of her life, but answers lurked ahead, hazy and elusive, and the distance, the chaos of sirens faded, yet something else loomed closer, a shadow creeping ever forward. What truth would the box unveil, and would she be ready for the storm about to break? The man moved with urgency, his body hunched as if the darkness were a predator closing in. She followed closely, her heart hammering against her ribs. Every step echoed in her mind, amplifying her fear as they edged further into the night. The box felt heavy, filled with secrets she didn't understand, yet a part of her sensed its importance. "Why are they after me?" she whispered as they ducked behind a cluster of trees, branches scratching at her arms. Her voice was barely a breath. Lost in the stillness of the night, he looked over his shoulder, eyes wide. "You don't know what you're carrying, do you?" "What do you mean?" She shot back, resentment creeping into her tone. "Why is this box the center of whatever mess I've stumbled into?" He shook his head. "You're not just carrying a box. You're holding a key to a legacy that others would kill for. Your family's past is dangerous, and those who want it will stop at nothing." A shiver raced down her spine. A legacy? Felt like a cruel joke. How could she be tied to something so grand, so influential, when her life had been filled with normalcy and struggle? "They'll come for you for it," he warned, his voice low and strained. "We have to keep moving." She took a moment, catching her breath, trying to grasp the enormity of what he was saying. "Who are they?" She had to know. "Oddly enough, they're closer than you think," he replied cryptically. "You'll find out soon enough if we don't get to safety." The moonlight flickered, illuminating their path only briefly before plunging them back into darkness. Sheltered in a hollow outcropping of trees, he knelt beside her, his breath quickening with panic. "We need to put distance between us and the wreckage. They'll come looking." Suddenly, a flash of headlights pierced the gloom. The sound of tires screeching against asphalt echoed. She felt her blood run cold. "Oh God, they're here." He grabbed her hand, yanking her upward. "We need to head toward the river. It's our best chance." They sprinted, adrenaline coursing through her like wildfire, pumping life into her limbs even as desperation threatened to overwhelm her. She could see shadows moving, flashlights bobbing wildly in the distance. The sound of angry shouts stirred something primal within her, pushing her to run faster. "Keep going. Don't look back," he urged against her instincts. She glanced over her shoulder. Just beyond the beams of light, there were figures, men clad in black, faces masked. Fear wrapped tightly around her throat as she realized they were closing in. Her heart raced faster than her feet. "What if they catch us?" His response was ominous. "If they catch you, they'll take the box and whatever is inside it will be lost." That thought lodged deep within her, icy and suffocating. What was in the box? What did they want? "Let us push through the trees," she shouted, her voice strained. The path ahead looked perilous, thick with underbrush and shadow. He nodded, guiding her to the edge of the riverbank, where the water flowed swiftly, its darkness swirling like secrets waiting to be unveiled. Suddenly a shot rang out, sending a reverberating shock rippling through her. A bullet whizzed past, missing her by inches. "Run," he urged, dragging her toward the water's edge, the cold air hitting her face like a slap. She kicked off her sneakers, heart pounding as they reached the riverbank. "What now?" "Dive in," he shouted, shoving her toward the swirling water. Instinct took over, and she plunged in despite the cold, the fear mingling with a strange thrill. As she surfaced, gasping for air, the man quickly followed. "Stay low," he yelled, treading water. The sounds of chaos erupted behind them, shouts and the crack of more gunfire. She ducked under the water, panic rising in her chest. They had to escape, but where could they possibly go? As she broke through the surface, her thoughts spun wildly. The box glimmered beneath her clothes, hidden yet ever present. Whatever legacy it held was about to change everything. What is this legacy? Why does it matter? She screamed, desperate for answers that might not come. His eyes met hers, shimmering with wild urgency. You'll have to find out. But trust me, that's just the beginning. Was it really just the beginning? As they floated downstream, a sense of inevitability washed over her, shadowed by uncertainty. The night was far from over, and the truth felt like a storm gathering just beyond the horizon. Would she sink or swim in the tempest that awaited them? The current pulled them deeper into the night, the freezing water biting at her skin. She clung to the silence under the surface, desperation wrapping around her like a life jacket, keeping her afloat amidst the chaos. The shouts from the riverbank blurred into a distant cacophony, yet she knew they wouldn't wait long. Hold on to me, he shouted, surfacing beside her, his eyes wide with urgency. The adrenaline racing through them was palpable, intertwining with the frantic beat of her heart. The water roared around them, and she felt the current tighten its grip, dragging them downstream faster than she thought possible. Where do we go? Stay close. Just keep swimming, he commanded. As they pushed against the water, her muscles burned, each stroke a battle against the icy bite encasing them. The fear of capture thrummed in her chest. In the distance, lights flickered again. The figures were moving along the shore, searching, prowling like hungry wolves. There. He pointed to a bend in the river, the shadows of trees marking a potential refuge ahead. They swam toward it, pushing through the dark water, using every ounce of strength they had. Her mind raced as she considered the box strapped tightly to her. What could it possibly hold? The weight of the unknown gnawed at her gut, a constant reminder of what was at stake. As they reached the bank, the man hoisted himself onto the muddy ground with surprising agility, pulling her up behind him. They stumbled to the cover of thick foliage, panting hard as they sank behind the green curtain of leaves. The adrenaline surge didn't fade, even as they lay hidden, hearts racing beneath the oppressive stillness of the night. The distant voices drew nearer, the men scanning the area with their bright flashlights. She felt like a cornered animal, primal instincts urging her to bolt, but she forced herself to stay still. What's in that box? She whispered, her voice strained. Why does it matter? It's part of a bigger scheme. A legacy that might mean life or death for us. And they won't stop until they get it, he said. His eyes glinting in the filtered moonlight, tension wound tighter in her chest. She took a shaky breath, her pulse echoing in her ears. How do you know this? Why were you there with me? I've been watching, waiting for the moment when they come for you. I knew the risk. His voice trailed off, and for a moment vulnerability chased away his bravado. But nothing could prepare me for seeing you. Their eyes locked. Fear and uncertainty morphed into something deeper, a connection forged in the flames of chaos. But it was fleeting, pushed away by the cracks of a branch snapping nearby. The voices were drawing closer. Shoo! She pressed her hand to his mouth, heart racing. He nodded, breathing in shallow gasps, both their bodies tense against the earth, hidden in the wilderness as if nature could swallow them whole. The searchlights flicked through the trees, illuminating their corner of the world in an ominous glow. She caught sight of a figure moving among the shadows. Tension rippled through her, threatening to explode. It was time to find answers, time to risk it all. Remember, if they catch us, we'll lose everything, he murmured, as the searchlights moved away for just a second. Or she began, a plan forming in the turmoil of her thoughts. Or we confront them. His eyes widened, the conflict evident on his face. That's suicide. What choice do we have? Her voice cracked, and determination surged within her. If this is my legacy, my inheritance, then I'm going to uncover its truth, no matter what it takes. A hush fell between them, thick with resolve. In that moment they knew that nothing would remain the same. The stakes were higher, the danger blaring like sirens in their minds. As they stealthily positioned themselves at the river's edge, a movement caught her eye, a shadow lingering in the foliage. She held her breath, heart pounding. Look, she whispered, someone's coming. Would it be salvation or doom? Only the unraveling night could tell. As the shadow slipped further into view, her heart raced wild, the mix of anxiety and adrenaline coursing through her veins. He remained perfectly still beside her, eyes wide. Each shallow breath shared their fears held close in the stifling darkness. "Who is it?" she mouthed, gripping his arm tightly. A figure, taller than most men, emerged, face obscured by the shadowy cover of trees. They were scanning the area, snapping a flashlight around wildly. The beam landed just inches from where they hid, and she stifled a gasp. "Stay quiet," he instructed, his voice barely above a whisper. The stranger shifted, moving closer to their hiding spot. For a moment it felt like the world held its breath. The figure's boots crunched against debris as they stepped forward, the light slicing through the night a dagger in their sanctuary. Then in a brutal jolt the light swung away, revealing the glint of metal at their side. A gun. Her stomach twisted at the sight. The stakes soared higher as panic ignited within her. They weren't just out here looking for her. They were armed, ready for confrontation. "Back away," came a voice from the dark, a gravelly growl that chilled her to the bone. The other figure jumped at the command, tension tightening the air around them. "Did you hear that?" the first figure said. "They could be close. We need to find them." A shiver ran down her spine as realization dawned. This wasn't he, just a vigilante searching for a runaway. These men were predators, hunting for prey. "What do we do?" she whispered, voice trembling. "We wait for the right moment." The man beside her watched the exchange through narrowed eyes, plotting their next moves even as danger loomed larger. "They'll scatter, they always do." They listened in absolute silence as the hunters moved away, voices fading. "We need to head downstream while we still can," he urged, his voice laced with urgency. "Wait," she hesitated, the box still strapped to her chest feeling heavier than ever. "What if it's my only chance? What's inside might help us escape or confront them." "No," he hissed, panic flashing in his eyes. "The longer we stay, the more vulnerable we become. We can't risk it until we're far from here. Trust me." It was more than just a box, it was the last remnant of her father's life. A legacy filled with secrets and danger. But instinctively she felt it was perfectly aligned with their survival. Yet they had no time to debate. The shadows around them whispered of footsteps returning. They were nearer, their voices now discernible, rattling off orders, commanding their troops into the woods. "Get ready," he said urgently, his hand gripping her tightly. They peered through the foliage, hearts pounding as black boots shuffled past, faces obscured by the darkness. As the last pair moved away, the man shot her a glance, one that spoke volumes. Determination emerged within her, pushing fear aside. "Let us go," she breathed, ready to leap into the unknown. With a quick nod they dashed from their hiding place, diving through the undergrowth, hearts racing as the sounds of pursuit ignited the air behind them. The world became a blur of darkness and foliage, her breath burning in her throat. But just as they reached the end of the cover, she stumbled, crashing against a low branch. Pain shot through her, and for a split second she hesitated, raising her hand to the stinging scratch on her arm. Was this where it all fell apart? "No time," he shouted, pulling her forward. "Keep moving." As they surged into the open, the moonlight unveiled a breathtaking sight. The river glistened like a silver ribbon, water foaming under a stark midnight sky. Yet there was no time to take it in. The footsteps crescendoed, closing in on them. "We make for the trees," she yelled, fear mingling with determination. They plunged into the shadows again, the woods twirling around them, the hunt far from over. And there, just as doubt began to creep into her mind, she felt the box against her chest, the weight of her father's legacy urging her on. "Who are they? What do they want?" she gasped, but he didn't answer, lost in the intensity of their escape. "Trust me," he shouted, and the conviction in his voice ignited a spark of hope in her heart. Behind the thrust of adrenaline loomed a promise she wasn't ready to face. The resonance of danger flooded in, mingling with the chill of their flight. With pursuit at their heels and the mysteries wrapped in that box looming larger than ever, she found herself wondering if the truth would be their salvation or demise. But the night was alive with questions that only deep shadows could answer. With each step she took, the weight of the box pressed harder against her chest, a constant reminder of her father's hidden past and its looming implications. Minutes felt like hours, the forest closing in around them as shadows twisted and danced under the flickering moonlight. Her heart beat in rhythm with the distant thumping of boots behind them. "Faster!" he urged, urgency slipping into his tone. They raced down the riverbank, the sounds of water crashing against rocks providing a soothing backdrop that quickly turned chaotic with their frantic pace. She could hear shouting behind them, the hunters rallying their troops, voices gritty with aggression. Just as they neared a thicket, he dragged her behind a cluster of thick bushes. They crouched low, their breaths heavy, mingling with the damp, earthy scent of the forest floor. "Do you think they saw us?" she whispered, her body vibrating with tension. "Not yet," he replied, eyes scanning the area. "But we can't stay here long." "What do they want?" It was a desperate question, one that she needed answered more than anything, but he only shook his head. A dark shadow crossing his face, her mind raced. She was reeling from the realization that this was real. Her father's legacy had drawn the attention of dangerous men. Men who would stop at nothing to get what they wanted. "Focus," he whispered, breaking her thoughts. "We need to figure out our next move." Again the commands danced through the trees, intertwining with the songs of the night. Fear twisted in her gut. "Why won't you open the box?" It burst from her. An ache of frustration and panic. "It could hold everything we need to fight back." "They'll only see it as a way to trace you back to your father," he stated, voice low but firm. "Right now our lives are at stake. We escape first, answer the questions later." She let his words settle, mixing with her shock at how deeply entrenched this was. The urgency pulsed between them, entangled with her need for closure. Did this box hold the answers? The voices grew nearer, like predators prowling for their prey. Her heart thudded like a war drum, almost drowning out the sounds of nature around them. When the brush rustled nearby, her body froze in terror, eyes wide, breath shallow. Suddenly, a beam of light cut through the dense foliage, sweeping across their hiding spot. For a split second their eyes met, an unspoken understanding passing between them. "Move," he hissed, grabbing her arm, and they sprinted along the riverbank, adrenaline surging through her veins as they ducked into another thicket. She caught a quick glimpse of a figure holding a flashlight, scanning the ground. He must be right there, close enough to catch them. "Are you okay?" he asked, catching her eye, concern edging into the desperation. "Just," she breathed, her mind racing. "I don't want to die out here. Not without the truth." "I promise we'll find it," he said, his voice steadier than hers, almost a comfort in this chaos. "But we have to outsmart them first. Look, when we reach the next bend we've got to move quickly. The trees start to thin out, and we can make for the ridge." Just as he finished speaking, another shout erupted from behind, carrying through the night like a whip crack against silence. "They're spreading out." The voice pierced her like a knife, pure urgency lacing through the air. "Go," he urged again, and they took off, weaving their way through the underbrush. The crackling leaves underfoot echoed like thunder, a taunt to their pursuers who rushed in their wake. Then they broke free from the thicket, and before them lay an open stretch of land lit by the full moon. The ridge loomed, dark and imposing, but it also promised the chance to lose their predators. As they sprinted towards it, she risked a glance back. The figures were closing the distance. Shadows merged in a frenzy of fear and fury. "Keep moving," he shouted, pulling her alongside him, taking the lead as they climbed toward safety, with their path marked by uncertainty and the sleek promise of the box still looming over her. A chilling thought seized her mind. What if the truth held ramifications far worse than the danger they faced now? As they reached the ridge, her breath hitched. Shrouded figures hovered at the base of the hill. They weren't alone. The night felt suffocating, closing in like a shroud. "Now what?" she gasped, glancing around, her mind spinning with possibilities. But then he paused, his expression shifting to disbelief as he peered across the landscape. "What is it?" she asked, clenching the box tighter, heart racing with a mixture of dread and curiosity. "Who's that?" he murmured, pointing into the distance. "Is that?" She followed his gaze, and her blood ran cold. A familiar face floated within the throng. A ghost from a life she thought she left behind. What had she just stumbled into? The truth awaited. But was it too dangerous to embrace? The figure stood shrouded in darkness, its features obscured by shadow, but recognition struck her like a lightning bolt. It was Sarah, her childhood friend turned rival. The last time she had seen Sarah, they had been laughing over ice cream and dreams of the future, long before families, secrets, and betrayals twisted their lives. What is she doing here? Her voice trembled, almost lost in the wind, a whisper of disbelief. Panic clawed at the corners of her mind. I don't know, but she's with them, he replied, a slight tremor in his otherwise steady voice. They watched, horrified, as Sarah turned, laughing with another figure, the way she had so many times before. Only now, there was a cruel glint in her eye, a look that said she knew something vital. Fear tightened around her throat. The weight of the box felt heavier, as though it pulsated with dark energy. And she couldn't help but wonder if it could somehow link Sarah to her father's legacy. Had Sarah been involved all along? We need to keep moving, he urged, breaking her from her thoughts, but she felt rooted to the spot. The world twisted away from her as rage and hurt surged through her. Did she know about all this? She searched his face for answers, for some way to understand. It dawned on her that every moment she had spent waiting for the truth, Sarah had been in the wings, reveling in the chaos. Focus on getting to safety first. You can't freeze up now. His voice cracked slightly, an edge of panic creeping into the urgency. Gritting her teeth, she forced herself to retreat from her swirling emotions. You're right. Let us go. They hurried up the ridge, the terrain becoming steeper and more treacherous with each step. Her hands shook. Was it from fear or determination? Do you think she'll tell them about us? She breathed as they reached a ledge, crouching low. Let us hope not, he replied, squinting down at the gathering below. We need a plan. We can't expose ourselves until we know for sure what they're after. Her heart thundered against her ribs. The world around them felt warped, hushed, as if time itself stood still. Lurking beneath the surface was a tension that threatened to break free at any moment. Suddenly, from the crowd, a voice rang out, sharp and clear. They can't be far. Search everywhere. Don't let them get away this time. The shout came from one of Sarah's allies, a man she recognized from recent reports echoing through headlines, a dangerous mercenary with a reputation that haunted shadows. Great. They really won't stop until we're dead, she muttered. Stay low, he urged, eyes narrowing at the chaotic scene below. They had to move again. Lightning flashed through her mind as another bone-chilling thought took shape. What if Sarah and the mercenaries were after the box? What secrets resided within that could shatter what little stability remained in her life? Do you know what's in the box? It was an audacious question, but curiosity gripped her. Not yet. But I suspect it's significant, he said, determination melting into fear, mirroring her own. As the shadowed figures below began to spread out, fanning out like wolves on a hunt, a single beam of light surged their way, slicing through the darkness, illuminating the ridge. Run! He shouted as the light drew closer, and instinct took over. They sprinted along the ridge, the looming threat closing in behind them, every breath heavy with terror. But as they raced, the landscape morphed ahead of them. A cliff edge loomed, jagged and steep. Desperation flooded her veins. What do we do now? We can't jump. There's got to be something, he yelled, glancing over both sides as the beam of light flickered ominously, revealing silhouettes creeping closer. Panic slithered up her spine as more voices joined the chorus, hunting them like prey. Then amidst the clamoring, a thought crystallized. What if we confront them? What if we use the box as a bargaining chip? His eyes widened as he stared at her. You really think they'll just let us go? Maybe not, but it's worth a shot. This could end everything. With fear coursing through their veins, they edged toward the cliff, preparing to swing momentum against their pursuers. But just as she steeled herself, a scream echoed through the night, one of recognition and betrayal. In that instant, everything spiraled into chaos as the beam of light landed directly on them, illuminating her face, freezing her in place. Then came Sarah's voice. You think you can escape? You're just as trapped as ever. The truth was closing in on her, and she felt like a moth caught in the glaring glow of a flame. What had Sarah done? And was there any way out of this nightmare without paying the ultimate price? The beam of light captured her, revealing panic swirling in her eyes. Sarah's lips curled into a sinister smile, a mockery of their once innocent friendship. Behind the contempt, a glimmer of something more dangerous flickered. They thought they could hide, Sarah sneered, stepping forward, shadows folding around her like a cloak. But the truth will set you free, or bury you alive. A surge of heat rushed through her. Could Sarah's betrayal really run that deep? They shared secrets, but now the darkness twisted everything. You're just a pawn, Sarah. What do you really want? Isn't it obvious? I want what you have. Sarah's voice dripped with venom. That box holds more than memories, it holds power. You have no idea what your father was involved in. Her mind raced, bombarded with fragments of half-remembered conversations about family secrets and lost opportunities. In that moment, Sarah wasn't just a rival, she was a threat wrapped in familiarity. He stepped in front of her, protective but clearly rattled. Back off, Sarah. We won tea, let you take it. One to you? She taunted, glancing at the approaching mercenaries. You're outnumbered and outmatched. The welcoming committee is right on time. The figures climbed the ridge like ants, tactical in their movements, eyes scanning for their target. Heart racing, she gripped the box tighter, the pulse of energy flowing through her fingers in stark contrast to her rising fear. If Sarah wanted this box, it must hold something vital. Maybe you'll understand your father's secrets before it's too late. Sarah's laugh echoed, chilling her to the bone. But let us make it interesting. If you want to talk, let us talk. What do you have in mind? She shot back, though uncertainty hung heavy in the air. We can make a deal. There was a flicker in Sarah's expression as if she were a caged animal, ready to pounce. Give me the box and I'll let you go. Your friend will be safe too. Why would I trust anything you say? She snapped, her throat dry, voice laced with disbelief. The idea of handing over the box was insane. Because I know you lack the knowledge to wield it. And trust me, my allies aren't as forgiving. His hand found her shoulder, and she could feel the tension radiating from him. Whatever's in there, it can't be worth this. In the distance, the mercenaries advanced, their voices now a swell of urgency, growing louder as they neared. Every moment ticked like a countdown, and an idea sparked in her mind. What if we split it? You take half and we take half. No one has to die here. Sarah narrowed her eyes, tempted yet wary. You think you can negotiate with me? Why not? If we all walk away, there's a chance to end this war between us. A flicker of doubt played across Sarah's face, but the shadow behind her grew more menacing as the mercenaries closed in. Choice is an illusion, Sarah finally hissed, a hint of desperation coating her control. Hand over the box or I make sure you never see the light of day again. Reality blurred, the cliff loomed behind them, perilous and unyielding. On one side, Sarah and her dark motives, and on the other, uncertainty about what was locked inside the box. Every instinct screamed to trust none of them. Don't give in. Whatever you do, don't let her take it. He whispered urgently. But was the box truly a burden worth bearing? Was it a key to freedom or a trap that would lead to their doom? As the darkness closed in around them, she felt her resolve trembling under the weight of her choices. Stand down, shouted one of the mercenaries, a commanding voice slicing through the air. We can end this all now. The world around her felt like it was twisting beyond recognition. Each breath was more desperate than the last. The moment had come to act. But at what cost? Just as she prepared to respond, a loud crack echoed like thunder, and the ground beneath them seemed to tremble. She barely registered what had happened before a figure emerged, a silhouette casting a long shadow, one that brought new danger into the fold. Was this help or another twist in the web? Chaos erupted as the figure stepped into the moonlight, a silhouette framed by the shadows, casting a tense atmosphere over the turmoil. Strikingly familiar, the unmistakable vibe sent a wave of mixed emotions crashing through her. Who was this newcomer? What did they want? Lila. The voice rang out, slicing through the tension. It was her brother Matt. His presence both a relief and a new challenge. With his scruffy hair and determined glare, he stood defiant between them and the mercenaries. What are you doing here? She cried, her heart swelling with a mix of anger and relief. But before he could answer, Sarah's voice sliced through the air like a blade. You brought him here? This is exactly what you want. To hand over the box to the wolves? I'm not here for any deals, Matt replied, a fierce determination in his voice as he positioned himself by Lila's side. You're not taking Lila or that box from me. With the mercenaries advancing, their intentions sinister and dark, Lila felt the pressure mounting. She sensed the box growing warmer against her chest, pulsating with secrets that could change everything. What's in there? Matt asked, urgency laced in his tone. Whatever it is, we end this now. Face them, Lila. And then we decide what happens next. She looked between him and Sarah, the swirling confusion clouding her mind. Growing up with Matt had taught her that they were stronger together. But what if this wasn't just about them? The mercenaries slowed, circling like predators ready to pounce. You don't need to die for your father's follies. A woman in a sleek black coat sneered from the back. Hand over the box and you'll both walk away unharmed. Why should we trust you? Lila shot back, taking an uncertain step forward. What's your true mission here? Let us just say we're professionals with a vested interest, came the smirk that made her skin crawl. Your father had debts to pay and you're just another pawn. Lila, they're just trying to manipulate you, Matt urged, eyes fierce. Whatever is in that box could hold the keys to your freedom. Don't let them win. Heart pounding like a war drum, she took a step back, clutching the box even tighter. I want to go back, she declared, breathing heavily. No more running. I will confront the truth. A sudden silence fell over the gathered figures. Even the mercenaries seemed taken aback by her determination. The crowd shifted, tension swirling thicker than before. Is that your final choice, little girl? Sarah hissed, venom lacing her tone. Yes, she shouted, her voice ringing louder than the midnight chaos, emboldened by her brother's presence. I will not let this family legacy control me any longer. You've manipulated enough lives. It's time for the truth to come out. Foolish girl. Sarah spat, her expression twisting into something dark and dangerous. You think you're strong enough to bear the weight of what's inside? You don't even know. Maybe I don't, she replied, her pulse racing. But I'll find out. No more secrets. As the mercenaries shifted, closing the distance, something in Lila sparked a newfound strength ignited by resolve and family. Let us find out together then, Matt said, his voice steady beside her. He took a deep breath, poised for action. Whatever happens, I've got your back. The crack of a branch resounded, the sound of footsteps filling the charged night air. Enough games. The mercenary leader surged forward, gun drawn. Last chance. In that fractal second, time slowed. Heart racing, Lila gripped the box, no longer just an object but a symbol of her father's life, legacy, and truth. There's no last chance for you, she shot back, adrenaline surging. And without thinking, she thrust the box forward. In that moment, the box opened, its contents shimmering like stars unleashed a cascade of paper, whispers of documents revealing hidden secrets, lost friendships, and betrayals. The truth spilled out like floodwaters, smacking into the cold reality of the night. Stand down, she commanded, voice steady, fierce enough to cut through the confusion. The swirling energy held them all captive, freezing them in place as the revelations hung like the sweetest melody among the tense art as the documents swirled. A sudden blinding light encompassed the scene, illuminating faces cloaked in shock and horror, an eruption of truths cascading forth in a wild realization. Lila! Matt shouted, eyes wide as the swirl enveloped them, but she felt invincible. The truth is my power. No more darkness. With the night unraveling the secret ties, Lila had become the master of her destiny. And in that chaos, she transformed the very legacy that had threatened to control her life into an armor of truth, a weapon grounded in the foundation of her family's history. Sarah's face drained of all color, as her plans evaporated in the light of exposed truths. With renewed clarity, Lila took a step forward, prepared to confront the repercussions, ready to rewrite the narrative of her life. Whatever the cost may be, Lila declared, heart resolute, I will own my truth. And with that, the night no longer loomed over them like a predator's breach but instead shimmered with promise, a blank canvas upon which the new story of her life awaited to be painted. It was time to step into the dawn of a new era. She might be the heir to a legacy steeped in darkness, but she would surely emerge into the light. So here's what you need to do right now. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel because this is just the beginning. Don't wait even one more second to become part of this incredible journey. Smash that like button now to help feed the algorithm and show your support. And I want to see your thoughts. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this explosive conclusion. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Get ready because there's so much more to come. Your support makes all the difference. Be part of our amazing community.